Aluminum in your deodorant will cause you breast cancer. Wired bras will definitely give you breast cancer. What about sugar? What about caffeine? In this episode of Heal Thyself, I'm going to debunk the top 8 most common myths behind what we believe causes breast cancer versus give you the information about what really causes breast cancer. Plus, give you my top 7 evidence-based supplements to consider when you want to prevent breast cancer. In this episode of Heal Thyself, listen in. I love doing breast cancer shows. Breast cancer has been near and dear to my heart for a very long time. For those of you who are new to the show and may not know, my mother died of breast cancer in 2011. And it was one of the reasons I went to school to learn this medicine and really feeling brave enough to go into cancer. And I worked in breast cancer. I did my residency in breast cancer. I've seen thousands of patients, especially women with breast cancer. And because it's been so near and dear to my heart, I've been just so engaged into what do we not know about cancer as a whole, and what do we not know about breast cancer. For those of you who know me, I've been doing somatic for a very long time, learning about the emotions in the body, learning about nervous system regulation. And the interesting thing is that there's a bridge, because years ago, if you asked me when I had a white coat on and a tie and slacks and nice shoes, and I'm sitting here and I'm interviewing myself, years ago, if you asked me what % of nervous system dysregulation is causing cancer, I'd say there's an element, but there's other things. Now I do the reverse. I'd say it's the driving force, and there's other things. So today we're going to talk about all of it. I really want to debunk some of the myths, and I was gently triggered by this Instagram post by the Primal Bod. If that's the name, I don't even know how it came to me, but the Primal Bod. This lady with blue blocking glasses talking about wired bras are a cause of breast cancer. And if you wear bras, you're going to give yourself breast cancer. And you know what? I've always been open-minded. And before I went into my residency, I kind of believed it. I was a big conspiracy theorist. I was like, no, everyone's out here to kill us. And, pharmacy. And that's, I actually still have an element of belief in that. And there's some things that we need to take a breath on. I sort of swung the pendulum from being and living in this conspiracy theorist, everyone's out to kill us, everything causes cancer, into like, okay, what are we empowered and what can we really hold in tangibly, practically to prevent breast cancer and all types of cancers. But this episode is going to focus on breast cancer. I know October just passed, but let's go into this. I really want to start by tackling the most common myths surrounding breast cancer. Each of these myths stems from logical assumptions, right? It's good theory, but research-wise, at this point, it's telling a different story. I want to explore these one by one so you understand really what the evidence is out there. And maybe, just maybe, you may have seen that Primal Bod post or any other post and got overwhelmed and changed your lifestyle and said, I can't do this. I'm going to die of this. And if this gives me this and this gives me this, it's time to take a breath. I want to start with aluminum in deodorants. The claim is this: aluminum in deodorants can be absorbed through the skin and potentially is going to increase breast cancer risk because it can have an estrogenic effect. And a lot of this evidence comes from when someone is diagnosed with breast cancer, it's oftentimes in the upper right quadrant of the chest, near the armpit. So when we look at the detailed evidence, there are concerns about aluminum in deodorants emerging because aluminum compounds are known to have estrogenic-like properties. And a lot of these breast cancers are driven by estrogen. And we know that estrogen can promote the growth of some breast cancer cells. However, the studies in this, up to this point right now, can actually confirm that the amount of aluminum absorbed from deodorants will be minimal. There was a study in Critical Reviews in Toxicology Journal in 2016. It was a comprehensive review and examined multiple studies on aluminum exposure. Wanted to look at all of them out there and concluded at the end that there's no real reliable evidence that is linking aluminum in deodorants to breast cancer. They highlighted that the amount of aluminum that is actually coming into the body through the skin is actually really, really low, and it's going to be far below what is going to affect cells or drive cancer. Another research study, an Environmental and Health Perspectives, 2017, showed that the blood levels of aluminum in people who regularly wear deodorants and antiperspirants found that the levels were significantly lower than the threshold to affect those cellular processes that can drive cancer, right? And the research confirmed that even after years of deodorant use, the body's exposure is going to be minimal. And so I want to say this is that this all doesn't mean not to get a quality deodorant. You really want to get one that is not utilizing synthetic fragrance, not utilizing a bunch of chemicals, really clean, minimal ingredients. Go to an environmental working group, see which ones are verified, because all these things play a role. Even if aluminum, especially in antiperspirants, a lot of the aluminum that you find, that heavy metal, is going to be found in antiperspirants. And even though the research shows that even years of it will not drive cellular processes, I still would say if you have another choice, let's err on the side of caution. Let's stay away from the fragrances. Let's stay away from the heavy aluminum. Let's stay away from the chemicals, the drying agents that you're finding in a lot of these antiperspirants, and go with something cleaner. That's my recommendation right now. Although, as we see with aluminum, it might be concerning because it's estrogenic effects, but based on the research, the levels were so low, it shouldn't cause harm. With that said, find yourself a quality deodorant. Okay, find yourself a quality deodorant. Stay away from the conventional ones. Find yourself a quality deodorant, because when you think about the whole package of what's going under your arm, you really want to do best for yourself. Hey, you know, I've been really open about my journey with skin health. You know, getting older is really something, right? You know, I've always had like this fine line, nothing, clear skin, you know, looking like a young boy. But it's okay. One of my number one go-tos is the Red Light Face Mask by Bon Charge. It's something I wear every single night. Every night I put it on my face, sometimes in the mornings. And if you're not familiar with Bon Charge, they're an amazing holistic wellness brand that combines ancestral wisdom with modern science. But what really drew me to them is how they created evidence-based products that work with our body's own natural processes. I'm going to tell you about this face mask. It has become the daily ritual. It's amazing. You put it on for 15 minutes and you're getting a dose of red light, near infrared and red light. And there's actually serious science behind this. Some people are like, why do you do this red light? And I'm going to tell you why. We're talking about over 4,000 peer-reviewed studies that show the benefits of everything from wrinkles to acne to scar tissues to jaw tension. It is fantastic stuff. It's removing all of that blue and green light that a lot of these red lights have and has zero EMF, radiation, or no flicker. Now that's really important because I'm putting it on my face. If there was any EMF, I would go crazy. I don't want to put that by my head. But it's amazing because you can switch between near infrared and red light. And I did research on this. I did a show. I've done reels on this about how there was a study that showed that 30 days of red light completely changed all the subject's skin. Plumper, more uniform, less skin breakouts, and the thing that really blew me away the most was collagen deposition. Better than any collagen formula is red light. I'm telling you, and I'm gonna tell you right now. I have my girlfriend doing it. I said, do it for 30 days, even a little bit more, and let's see. She's taking pictures. It's noticeable by day 15. Her skin is a lot more plump. It's a lot smooth, and it's a lot softer. It's incredible stuff. But what I love most is actually knowing that I'm healing my skin every single day. It's a go-to. It's helpful. My skin looks great. My skin is popping, and yours could too. I'm telling you, 30 days and you'll see a difference. By day 40, you'll DM me and say, thanks, Dr. G. And I'm gonna be like, I told you, don't worry about it. Science is science. So the great thing about Bon Charge, they hooked you up as a Heal Thyself listener. I want you to head to the link in the show notes. Use the code DRG. That's DRG. You're gonna save 15% off any of your orders. Again, that's DRG for 15% off from Bon Charge. That is BONCHARGE. That's the code DRG. I want to share something very exciting, and it couldn't come at a better time. You know, we're always talking about foundations for health. That's what the show is about, right? And there's the nutrient that always comes up in conversations. It's probably the most important nutrient we need to be taking because it's so depleted. Is magnesium. Sleep, stress, overall health, weight loss, brain health. Magnesium is the thing that's got the world going right now, especially in the health world. People love it. And while we can't really control everything that's happening around us, we can support our bodies with the right nutrients, and that is where Magnesium Breakthrough comes in. Really, what makes this product special is it's literally the only magnesium supplement that I found that includes all 7 critical forms of magnesium in one bottle. And, you know, if you think about that, instead of buying just multiple supplements, you're getting every single thing you need as far as magnesium in this product. And I take it 2 every day before bed. all the time. Usually take 1 in the morning, but definitely 2 before bed without fail. I'm gonna tell you this, no TMI, my bowel movements are way better the days that I take magnesium, like way better, like incredible. And it's helpful for hormonal balance, mood support. There's over 600 biochemical reactions that rely on magnesium, and BiOptimizers is the best one. And guess what? Starting their Black Friday sale, and it's going to be starting early. I got an exclusive deal for you, the Heal Thyself listener, and it's going to be running the entire month of November. This is the biggest sale of the year. They're including up to $100 worth of free gifts with your purchase. You won't find this deal on Amazon. You won't even find it on their main website. Guess what? It's for you, the Heal Thyself listener. And I want you to go to bioptimizers.com/DRG. That is bioptimizers.com/DRG. Use the code DRG10. That's DRG10. And you're going to get the real hookup from BiOptimizers. You're welcome. And thank you. If you love the podcast and you want to be down with the Dr. G Heal Thyself community, we give incredible tips every single week on getting a healthier physical, mental, and emotional body. The newest updates of my favorite products, the newest updates of my favorite practices. Stay in the loop by joining the Dr. G community. All you got to do is go to any one of my posts on Instagram and comment the word news. You'll get a DM to join. What about Underwire bras, right? This was the one that really the primal bot got me with. I was like, okay, I get the theory behind it. And I've actually looked into that before I even went to my residency around cancer. And, yeah, the theory is like, you are slowing down the lymphatic movement by wearing underwire bras that are basically restricting that flow. And by restricting that flow, it's causing toxins to build up, and it's going to increase your breast cancer risk. And the myth is based on the idea that basically this underwire that you're putting is putting so much pressure around the lymph nodes in the breast, and just your lymphatic system isn't flowing. And there's actually multiple drainage pathways throughout the body, but under your arms is a really big cluster of lymph nodes. And we can even feel them ourselves right now listening, right? So, and this wired bra is going to be the thing that causes cancer. There's a few research studies that really looked at this. One of the big ones was in Cancer Epidemiology, Biomarkers and Prevention in 2014. And it was a significant study, and it evaluated over 1,500 women. And they looked at the bra type, hours of wear, and other factors. And they found no association between wearing a bra that had an underwire and breast cancer risk. The Journal of Cancer Epidemiology, 2015, researchers wanted to examine the lymphatic system's ability to drain fluids under conditions of even minor pressure, like underwire bras, right? And they confirmed that lymphatic vessels are positioned actually deep enough in your body that even if you have an underwire bra, it's going to actually avoid the impact from that pressure. Which was, when I read that a few years ago, I was really surprised because I said, okay, well, wow, yeah, that's right. I mean, it makes sense. And a lot of us are going crazy going, there's too much pressure. So up until this point, there's no real evidence that supports the theory that underwire bras can influence cancer development through lymphatic obstruction. And as we know, lymphatic drainage isn't really affected by clothing. So having a bra that has underwire is really your matter of comfort. It's not necessarily going to be a health risk. Now, with that said, I would absolutely recommend that you have some sort of lymphatic massage practice. This is going to be helpful and you're going to feel it. You can move the lymph around the neck, around the ears, around the breast, under the arms, right above the belly button or right near the rib cage, down your groin and behind your knees, right? So if you look up at-home lymphatic massage, 15-minute lymphatic massage, learn where your clusters of lymph nodes are and start moving that. Every day, 30 seconds each side, start tapping it just to activate it and get yourself a rebounder. Get yourself a rebounder, a little trampoline, and actually jump every morning. This is going to be really helpful at starting the lymphatic flow anyway, even if you wear an underwire bra or not. This is actually going to be a really nice practice for you to stimulate true lymphatic movement and detoxification. Here's another one. Back to the underarm agents. Antiperspirants block your sweat glands. And by blocking sweat glands, it's trapping toxins in the breast tissue and going to increase your cancer risk. And the myth is based on the misconception that sweating releases a major amount of toxins, that sweating is the primary way we detoxify. But in reality, detoxification is actually handled in a more sophisticated way through our liver, through our kidneys, okay? Pooping and peeing. So we sort of felt into this belief that, okay, if we don't sweat under our arms, we're going to die from cancer. And it's not necessarily true. Many institutions, well-respected, a lot of research behind it, are stating that blocking the sweat glands with antiperspirants doesn't increase breast cancer risk. And as we know, sweat glands are really important at regulating body temperature, but isn't the primary way that we're looking at detoxification. Okay, sweating is good. Sweating isn't the primary way you got to lean on for detoxification. It's got to go internally first. Clinical Oncology Journal, 2018, the study assessed the effects of antiperspirants on toxin levels, and what did they find? There was no increase in toxins or cancer risk from regular antiperspirant use. Now, my conclusion is still, get yourself a quality deodorant. If you're using deodorant, even if it's antiperspirant, it doesn't have aluminum, or, well, it's going to stop sweating because that's in the name. But really go for a deodorant, a quality deodorant that's not scented, that's not fragrance, or if it is, it's naturally fragranced, naturally scented. And just, if you're using it every single day, know that, yes, I'm not going to worry that like there's aluminum in here, it's going to kill me, or it's going to block my sweat glands, it's going to kill me, but go with something cleaner. All right. That's my number one. And so the research out there is still, you don't really need to worry about antiperspirant and cancer, but I'm still going to say get yourself a quality deodorant to stay away from all those nasty chemicals and fragrances. This is a big one. Birth control pills and breast cancer risk. Birth control, the claim is basically that birth control pills will significantly increase breast cancer risk. And when we look at the evidence, hormonal contraceptives actually do have a small risk for increasing breast cancer, but it's small, and this is the key word, it's reversible over the years. Now, estrogen that is given is linked to breast cancer, exogenous estrogen. The New England Journal of Medicine 2017, well-respected journal, followed 1.8 million women over 10 years, and they found a 20% increase in relative risk, which translates to about one additional breast cancer case per 7,690 women annually. So one thing to remember, though, is if you took birth control, the risk will diminish after stopping the pill, and by year 5 and 10, it's going to go back to about zero. Okay. Meta-analysis in 2019 confirmed that there is a modest increase, yes, like I just mentioned, but it's emphasized that the risk is temporary and disappears after discontinuing the pill. All right. But what's my conclusion? Yeah, there's a slight risk. It's minimal. When you're off birth control, it goes down, it will fade. And that's not my major concern with birth control, right? It's the vitamin depletion, mineral depletion. It is the hormonal dysfunction that happens downstream. It's the whole cascade of issues that happen when a woman takes birth control that she goes to the doctor for, and then they get medication for that new manifestation of the side effect of birth control. Dr. Jolene Brighton, go get her book, Beyond the Pill. If you want to learn more about birth control, she is a lot more savvy on this issue than I am, so go check it out. Now, what about breast cancer injury? What about if you hurt your breast, if there's trauma to the breast? Will that cause cancer? Well, physical trauma to the breast, such as an injury, or a bump, or someone throws a baseball at you, can it lead to cancer? Well, what does the evidence say? Cancer is going to originate from genetic mutations, okay? Not physical trauma. Trauma can cause some benign lumps. The body can adapt and react, even scar tissue, but it's not going to cause cancer. Study in Cancer Science 2014 clarified that trauma-induced lumps will be benign. They have no connection to the development of cancer. So no need to worry about that. But what about caffeine? This went around for a while. Too much coffee, too much matcha, too much caffeine is going to increase your risk of breast cancer. So will drinking caffeine increase breast cancer? Studies have consistently shown no link between caffeine and breast cancer. 2015 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found no associations between caffeine and an increased risk. Additional research, we look at it, suggests that caffeine may even reduce the risk of certain types of cancers. So don't worry, you can have your coffee, but go back to my coffee, green tea, and matcha episode just a week or two before this. Listen to it, because not all coffee, matcha, and green tea or caffeinated drinks are created the same, and stay away from those crappy energy drinks. All right, this is a big one now. Sugar gonna feed cancer. Does sugar feed cancer? Sugar consumption is going to fuel cancer growth. It's going to make them grow faster. Now, we know that cancer cells consume glucose, but all cells in the body do. In the Journal of Cancer Research in the United Kingdom and Nutritional Neuroscience, they both confirm that sugar intake doesn't contribute to cancer. A balanced diet is very important to reduce the risk of cancer, but sugar intake doesn't directly. Now, I want to say directly because there are comorbidities that come with cancer. There are things that drive, like metabolic dysfunction, prediabetes, that can drive the cancer process, right? That full body systemic dysfunction is the thing that causes problematic issues downstream, especially with the immune system. So to put your mind at ease, sugar will not directly cause cancer, but please make sure you have a balanced diet. Please make sure you're having a good amount of fiber. And by good, I mean over 40 grams at least a day. Make sure you're getting antioxidant-rich foods. We're going to go into that, into the recommendations, but don't eat a processed diet high in sugar too, because it's going to cause downstream issues. What about cell phones? This is a big one. This is a big one because all of y'all got cell phones. You're on it all the time. It's in your pocket. It's in your sports bra sometimes when you go for a run. I mean, it's crazy, right? But does having a cell phone near your breast tissue cause breast cancer? Well, the thing about cell phones is this. They emit something called non-ionizing radiation. That means the radiation from phones lacks the energy to cause genetic mutations, damage to your DNA. 2020 study in Environmental Research Journal showed no association was found between cell phone radiation and breast cancer risk. Cell phone radiation will not penetrate deep enough to the breast tissue to cause mutations. There's no evidence linking it. I will say this, the phone can also cause circadian disruptions, right? The blue light disruptions, especially at night. Now we know circadian disruptions, especially if it's disrupting melatonin, which is a major anti-cancer, is going to be linked with the development of cancer. So now cell phones may not directly cause cancer through radiation, through circadian disruption over time. That's going to be problematic. All right, so we just busted a few myths, but I really want to go into like, what is really causing cancer then, right? Because if we know these are the myths, they're not causing cancer, take a breath, you're okay. But what are the things we really need to look out for, right? After we debunked everything, what are the real factors shown in the research to increase the risk of breast cancer? And these are supported, well supported by scientific studies. And if we understand these, we can make informed, proactive steps. Now, for the majority of people, cancer is going to be genetic at about 10%. The rest is going to be epigenetic, things that we do in our environment, our stress, our food, our exercise, our relationships. Everything will play a role into the activation or deactivation of those cancer, anti-cancer genes. So when we talk about genetic mutations, there are specific ones, though, called BRCA1, BRCA2, TP53, and PTEN genes, okay? These are common in breast cancer research. I've seen it in patients. These are all, it's always on their report. There's always a genetic test when someone's diagnosed with breast cancer, or there should be, absolutely. So some of the strongest risk factors for breast cancer are people with mutations in these genes, BRCA1 and BRCA2, that is going to significantly increase the likelihood for the development of breast cancer. And this is often shared in families. So there's research supporting this. Study in Nature magazine in 2003 was a pivotal study and found that women with BRCA1 or BRCA2 mutations have a lifetime breast cancer risk that elevates up to 80%. And these mutations disrupt the body's ability to basically repair DNA that is damaged through a lot of these epigenetic exposures. And that's going to lead to a higher likelihood and risk of cancerous development, okay? There's also the two other genes I just mentioned, PTEN and TP53. These mutations are also genes that are associated with an increased breast cancer risk. and it has been shown to increase the overall risk. In the Lancet of Oncology, they show TP53 is a tumor suppressor gene. We know that it stops cancer from growing, it suppresses the tumor. And when you have a mutation there, it can actually lead to very aggressive breast cancers. So P10 mutations are associated with different syndromes, rare disorders. But the real takeaway is here. If you can get some genetic testing, or if there's a first-degree family member who's had breast cancer, like your sister, like your mom, go get tested. Go get tested even if there's a second degree, like an aunt or something. Go get tested to make sure that you're doing everything that you need to do for preventative measures to make sure you're protecting your breasts and overall health. Hormone replacement therapy, very important. Postmenopausal hormone replacement therapy, especially combined estrogen and progesterone therapy, it's been associated with an increased risk in breast cancer. Very pivotal study, 2002, Women's Health Initiative. It's a landmark one that has found that the combined hormone replacement therapy of estrogen and progesterone, that when using this medicine, there's an increased risk by 24% of developing breast cancer compared to those who didn't use hormone replacement therapy. 2019 study in the Lancet, a meta-analysis review of all the research out there. It was comprehensive, and they looked at 108,000 women. And they confirmed that combined hormone replacement therapy raises the risk of breast cancer significantly, especially when used prolonged. If your mama, if your auntie is in menopause and they're recommending hormone replacement therapy, run out the door. There are more biological friendly hormone replacement agents now that reduce the risk by much more. To learn more about it, go back to my podcast on menopause. What else? We know for sure obesity and high body mass index, okay? Obesity, very important, particularly if you're postmenopausal, will increase the risk of breast cancer because fat tissue is going to produce estrogen, which is going to fuel hormone receptor positive breast cancers. It's seen in the research over and over. Postmenopausal obesity will raise the risk of breast cancer by up to 30% due to that increased circulation of estrogen in the body. And we see this across the board. That's why it's so important to be at a healthy fit level, to be moving, to be working out. You want to maintain a healthy weight. It's major. Alcohol consumption. We don't talk about this enough. Alcohol consumption, it's been linked to an increase in estrogen levels. We know that, especially if you're drinking a lot of beer, but it's also wine, and can raise breast cancer risk. There's multiple studies that have supported this. 2015, British Journal of Cancer. The study found that each daily alcoholic drink raises a woman's risk of breast cancer by 7 to 10%, right? There's no safe level of alcohol. So it's really important in the context of cancer to avoid this as much as possible, especially if you have a first-degree relative who has had cancer. Alcohol is not your friend, okay? Meta-analysis in the Lancet of Oncology, 2013 study, confirmed that even moderate alcohol intake will increase breast cancer risk by 5 to 9% for every 10 grams of alcohol. It's about one drink consumed per day. You want to limit your alcohol intake if you can, full cessation of alcohol, especially if there is an intimate first-degree relative in your life who has had breast cancer. What about radiation exposure? Yeah, exposure to radiation, particularly at a young age. If you're having frequent medical imaging, there's an associated risk for increased breast cancer. We saw that in 2019, the study in cancer. The research analyzed the long-term effects of radiation exposure from things like X-rays or CT scans, and yes, they found a correlation, especially behind high cumulative long-term exposure and breast cancer risk. And this is why young people who have had Hodgkin's lymphoma, who are continuously having PET scans, or have an increased risk of breast cancer later in life. So medical imaging shouldn't be fully avoided, but especially when it's needed, but we have to be very conservative, especially at the ones that have a lot of ionizing radiation, like those PET scans. What about dense breasts? Actually, dense breasts is not only a risk factor, but it also makes detecting tumors on mammals a lot more challenging. So there's research around this. 2015 National Cancer Institute study, women with dense breast tissue actually face a higher risk of breast cancer due to actually having more fibroglandular tissue, right? You just have more tissue that can develop breast cancer. And that is an issue, and it can obscure tumors on mammograms, right? So If you have dense breast tissue, you may want to inquire about additional screening, right? And ones with no radiation, like ultrasound or MRI or even thermographies, right? And coupling them all together to make sure you're improving early detection as well as doing your at-home breast exams. And the last part of this podcast, I want to talk about what are the things that you can incorporate in your life that actually have utility to prevent breast cancer. They actually do things, right? And we want to, this is really important. Like if you have someone in your life who has had breast cancer, who's in your family, you got to do these things, okay? Regular physical activity. I cannot stress this enough. Exercise helps regulate your hormones. It's going to help balance estrogen. It's going to reduce inflammation. These are the really big factors at what drives breast cancer, right? And this is I'm talking about 150 minutes per week, moderate exercise, and that's been shown to reduce breast cancer risk by 10 to 20%. Right there, 10 to 20, almost a quarter reduction in risk if you're doing this right? 2019 British Journal of Sports Medicine found that women who exercise regularly had significantly lower risk of both pre and postmenopausal breast cancers. Go to the gym. Not only move your body, not only run, but lift weights. It's going to be really important. And you hear me talk a lot about muscle. I'm putting on muscle. It's going to be really important, especially if you're a woman. We're not talking about getting jacked up. We're talking about getting toned up. Putting on that muscle, reducing fat is going to be really important at balancing those hormones, reducing inflammation, reducing cancer risk, increasing longevity. So let this be your signal right now. If you haven't yet, especially the new year's coming, get started on it now. So you miss that giant rush when people come to your gym and you want to sign up and there's a big wait. Do it now. Okay. You want to get your hands on antioxidant and fiber-rich foods. If you have a first-degree relative with breast cancer, this is the thing that you want to do. You want to go for it every day thinking about, did I get my fruits in, my vegetables in, my legumes in? These are the things that we know in the research, whole grains that are reducing the risk of breast cancer. It's reducing inflammation. It's supporting your immune function. 2018 study, JAMA Oncology, the study found that diets that are rich in fiber and antioxidants will lower breast cancer risk. It's going to reduce the oxidative stress. It's going to reduce inflammation. That's the thing, right? American Institute for Cancer Research, AICR, their recommendations are eating a variety of colorful plant-based foods. I always say this, the colors of the rainbow, which have been shown to reduce cancer risk. Focus on the plant-based foods. Get your body what it needs. Strengthen your body's natural defenses. Get yourself on a healthy weight, balancing, avoiding obesity, right? Make sure you're going to the gym, sweating it out, putting on some muscle, reducing that estrogenic load, and helping balance that inflammation. Limiting alcohol consumption, as I mentioned, we know that every additional drink is going to increase your risk. And if you can't, then think about, and if you don't want to get off alcohol as a whole, just reduce the consumption. Nowadays, there's so many mocktail companies out there. There's so many other things that you can do socially, and you may be chastised by your friends. And what's wrong with you? Are you okay? They may even have that guilt that's projected onto you. And can you stand tall in your decision to move away from alcohol? We know reducing the smoking. I don't expect that a lot of you are cigarette smokers, but we know it's implicated in many different types of cancers, and it's classified as a carcinogen. We know it. It's directly connected to cancer. Avoiding tobacco is one of the most powerful ways to reduce cancer across the board. I'm going to tell you my top recommendations as a naturopathic doctor, supplement-wise, to start taking vitamin D. Go get your vitamin D tested. If your vitamin D is not right, and I'm talking about at least 50, if your vitamin D is not at around 50 or more, you need to get out in the sun. If it's in the winter, start supplementing, talk to your doctor. None of these are medical recommendations, not medical advice. I'm protecting my butt, talk to your doctor. But vitamin D is crucial. It's really crucial for regulating cell growth and immune function. It actually helps your cells differentiate. They mature properly. It reduces the risk of uncontrolled cellular growth, and that's the hallmark of cancer. We know that. We know vitamin D is associated in the research with a reduced risk of breast cancer. Women with higher levels of vitamin D have better cell regulation, lower rates of abnormal cell proliferation. Different meta-analysis throughout the research are showing that Vitamin D levels are correlated with a 20 to 30% reduction in breast cancer risk. That's like exercise. That's even more than exercise. Vitamin D and exercise already, you're doing massive things for preventing breast cancer. So talk to your doctor around what dosage to take. Typically, it's between 800 to 1,000 IUs of vitamin D daily, but it's got to be adjusted to your blood levels. Make sure you're getting out in the sun, put your feet on the ground. Number 2, breast cancer preventative, curcumin, right? This is the turmeric extract, and curcumin is a very potent compound found in turmeric, and it's got potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. It's really, really potent anti-inflammatory. It's one of the best ones out there because we know that chronic inflammation is linked to many diseases, including cancer. And reducing inflammation will be preventative for cancer prevention, right? 2022 research study, phytotherapy research. The study found that actually curcumin's anti-inflammatory properties can lower markers of inflammation that are often going to be elevated when you have breast cancer. Curcumin has been shown to inhibit the growth of breast cancer cells in laboratory settings, and actually in integrative medicine is being suggested as a very potent preventative. Talk to your doctor about how much between 500 to 1,000 milligrams of curcumin daily is typical. You want to look for a formula with black pepper. Piperine is going to help absorb it better. Curcumin-based supplements are what you want to look for, but if you use turmeric, make sure you're definitely combining it with black pepper and know that you're reducing inflammation and protecting your breast. One of my favorite ones is green tea extract, EGCG, the thing you're going to find in green tea, the thing you're going to find in matcha. It's called epigallocatechin gallate, EGCG, and it's a very powerful antioxidant, and it's found in green tea and has been studied for many of its potential impacts for cancer, but we know it's going to protect your cells and DNA from damage. It's going to inhibit tumor growth. This is a everyday drink that you can have that you know is going to help protect you. Research studies out there, 2017 study, Molecular Nutrition and Food Research. EGCG has been shown to reduce oxidative stress, protect against DNA damage, slow the growth of cancer cells, and laboratory settings. And we actually see in East Asian countries, right, where they're drinking green tea all the time, they have lower risk of breast cancer, right? We know even when it's adjusted for, it's a protective, preventative effect against breast cancer. So if you're drinking green tea, you want to get about 2 to 3 cups minimum. It can go up to 8, 9 cups a day. I always say, boiled up the water, put a bunch of bags in there, make sure that they're paper bags, not plastic bags, okay? Make sure that, go listen to my green tea product review first before you even get yourself some green tea. Make sure you're getting the right one because you don't want those microplastics causing more inflammation and doing the thing that you don't want, okay? So get yourself some quality green tea first and foremost. And if it's not green tea, go listen to my matcha review from this year. Go get a quality matcha, which is going to be 8 cups of green tea equals 1 cup of matcha, right? But you want about 300 milligrams of EGCG. You can get a supplement of EGCG too as a preventative, but talk to your doctor. Omega-3 fatty acids, we know, found in fish oils and plant sources. They are known for their anti-inflammatory effects. They are going to reduce cancer-promoting inflammation. We see that in the research. Omega-3s will lower inflammation. They're going to reduce cancer development. They are correlated with a reduced overall risk for breast cancer, especially in women who are postmenopausal. The dosage is about 1 to 2 grams of omega-3 fatty acids daily, ideally from a fish oil that has DHA or EPA or a plant source like flaxseed oil. But make sure you are getting a quality one. Just like the EGCG, just like the matcha, just like the green tea, you want to get a quality fish oil. We're sponsored by Puri. It's my favorite one. But yeah, like this is what you want to do. If you're going to take fish oil preventatively, or if you don't have fish, get some flax seeds, algae oil, chia seeds, walnuts. These are the things that are going to be really important at reducing your risk for breast cancer. Reishi mushrooms. I love this one. Reishi mushrooms, it's been used traditionally in Eastern medicine for a long time for its immune modulating and anti-cancer effect. It's because these mushrooms contain these carbohydrates called polysaccharides and triterpenes. And these constituents are basically supporting your overall immune health. Really nice study, 2019, Frontiers in Pharmacology. Reishi mushroom was shown to stimulate the immune cells and potentially inhibit tumor growth by promoting immune surveillance. They're stimulating your immune system to go look for tumors to kill them. It's incredible. Reishi has been studied for its ability to really look at how is it inhibiting breast cancer cell growth. in a laboratory setting, right? So the dosage that we find for reishi mushrooms is about 1 to 2 grams a day, and it's in capsule or powder form. But you want to make sure that when you get reishi mushrooms, you are not getting the mycelium. You are getting the fruiting body. Go to the Swell Score. We have the best reishi mushroom brands on there. If you're going to go get some reishi mushrooms, go get it there, because there's a lot of good brands, but there's a lot of shitty brands out there too. So yeah, reishi mushrooms, fantastic anti-cancer benefit. It's something I used all the time when I was working in my residency in cancer. Flax seeds, they're rich in lignans, and flax seeds are really important because they have a phytoestrogen. This doesn't mean that flax seeds are giving you estrogen and making cancer worse. No, on the contrary, it's a plant estrogen that balances, modulates your estrogen levels. It's going to help balance if you have too much estrogen. It's going to help bring it up if you have too low estrogen. That's the intelligence of these plants, right? So when you're consuming flax seeds, these lignans within them are actually going into the cells, binding to these estrogen receptors, and they're going to help reduce the effect of estrogen on the breast tissue, right? Because when you have too much estrogen in the breast tissue, it's problematic. It's what drives cancer. Many estrogen receptor positive cancers are being driven by estrogen. So the research showed, yeah, the lignans in flax seeds will help regulate estrogen, lower breast cancer risk, especially in hormone receptor positive types. Women who consume higher amounts of lignans have lower breast cancer. It's protective. 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds a day is a beautiful thing. You make sure they're grounded though. You don't want the seeds itself. You will poop them out. You have to ground your flax seeds, and you sprinkle the flax seeds into smoothies, oatmeal, or yogurt, and you're going to be in a good place. Flax seeds are also just nutrient dense, and they help balance estrogen, and they're affordable, and they're great for your breast. And the last one is melatonin. Yes, melatonin is a sleep hormone. It is disrupted by blue light very fast. That's why I always tell you how to wear blue blockers. It's got antioxidant properties, but it can actually influence cancer pathways because it can regulate immune function and reduce oxidative stress. The International Journal of Molecular Sciences in 2018 found that melatonin's antioxidant effect could play a major role in protecting cells from damage that can lead to breast cancer. The Journal of Pineal Research, 2017, the research showed that melatonin can inhibit the growth of breast cancer cells in laboratory settings and can actually be a potential preventative overall for its effect for breast cancer. When it comes to melatonin, 1 to 3 milligrams before bedtime. And if you struggle with sleep, that's an added benefit, but getting that good deep sleep is going to be really important. Talk to your doctor. This is not a recommendation. Talk to your doctor first, and they'll know the research. And if they don't, let them know about it. But yeah, these are some of my favorite naturopathic evidence-based benefits. You have some dosages in there. That's for your rule of thumb. Again, talk to your doctor. But if you integrate these supplements into your life and dietary choices, you're already doing so well for yourself. Go get your vitamin D tested. Go move your body. Could commit yourself, especially if you're in your 30s or 40s. You'd be shocked. I saw women with breast cancer in their 20s. I thought it happened like 40s and above when I got into my residency, but it was something that blew me away. So, snap of a finger, I've seen new moms get breast cancer. It can happen to anyone, but you're empowered. In this podcast, you have more information than almost every woman will ever have who gets breast cancer because they're not in the know. And there's not enough doctors talking about this. We're just thinking about genetics, but you have the golden information. So what are you going to do with it? Okay. Before I wrap up, I just want to mention a few things about breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is fantastic when it comes to lowering cancer risk. It's seen in the research, breastfeeding for at least 6 months has been associated with a reduced risk in breast cancer. Mammograms, very important conversation piece. I could do a whole show on this, and they allow for early detection. It's important, especially if you're a high-risk woman. If you have a first-degree relative or you've had breast cancer before, regular screenings are going to actually improve your survival rates. Now, there's a cumulative effect of getting mammograms every single year. So talk to your doctor. Maybe it's every other year. Maybe you wait a little bit. Maybe you couple that with a thermography, something. But just know that, yes, they do prevent it, but the little dose every single year, by the time you're 70, 80, you may be increasing your risk. So today, we debunked the real common myths. We explored the risk factors. We discussed the evidence-based prevention strategies. We know that there's science behind some things and there's very poor science behind other things. But remember, you want to combine this, right? What works for you? Go get your vitamin D test, as I said. Get the moving. Start eating the colors of the rainbow. Maybe you start a supplement regimen by talking to your doctor, right? But really, thank you for joining us today. Like really, it never goes by me that, at least one person listens to this show, but the thousands of you that do, thank you so much for joining Heal Thyself, staying empowered, staying informed, staying proactive. If you haven't yet, please rate, review, and subscribe. If you even take 1 minute to do it on Apple or Spotify or YouTube or all of them, it helps the show tremendously. If this show has helped you, please rate, review, and subscribe. And I love you all. Thank you for everything. Thank you for joining the show. Send this to someone you love. Protect your breasts, protect your health, protect your life. Thank you.